The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Paige and Paige Clark.
Well, good morning. I'm Paige Clark, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle. And this is where we explore a return to a more balanced, a natural, and a wild world.
Yes, to recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. I'm Nico Paige.
It's a beautiful day in beautiful downtown Clearwater, Florida, 76 degrees, low humidity, clear skies, feeling like we got a little bit of fall folly coming in.
Yeah.
And I want to remind you to pick up our Health Signals newsletter twice a month, $10 a month in your box. News you can use to stay healthy, live longer, stronger, healthier, and wealthier.
That's right. And pick up our Primal Edge, our one-shot wonder, 310 organic cell-ready ingredients. And we need this more today than ever. All powered by
fulvic and humic acids.
That's right.
Nature's miracle molecules.
And the number here is 877-927-6648 if you'd like to join the conversation. What are we talking about today?
We always talk about good stuff. And,
yes.
you know, I saw this headline, and I kind of wanted to spin off of this. And it was, since when did natural medicine become the alternative?
Good question.
And at one point, folks, maybe you can pull up that map, Nico, if you get a second.
Yeah.
Natural medicine was the only medicine. And it wasn't considered the alternative. In fact, that actually happened much later, after synthetically produced patented drugs came onto the scene, and profits, not safety and efficacy, became the ultimate priority. And we're living that today. This map you see up on the telestrator here is an amazing 1930s pharmacist map.
Yeah,
yes, I said
cool?
pharmacist. It's a pharmacist map of herbal cures and some different herbs. I wish it was higher resolution so we could zoom in and see what they were showing. But
it does show you the diversity and the different types of plants that were used all through our human history. And we turned away from it starting about after World War II, it seemed like.
Exactly. And this was recently released to the public, folks, but really about the 1930s when Rockefeller decided that he had a lot of uses for these leftover petrochemicals, and he would make chemical drugs. The schools that trained people in natural medicine, the real medicine, slowly dwindled as endowments decreased because he wanted to make sure that the petrochemicals that he was producing were getting the lion's share of the business.
Yeah.
As you can see, most drugs in the United States were not too long ago extracted from these botanicals.
Exactly. And that's the only way you can patent them is you take the substance out of them and then it becomes yours and you can sell it at a higher price for a while. This is not the way nature intended us to use these things.
No.
We were intended to use them naturally from the wild, and these wild plants are very, very powerful, and that's why drug companies go down to the Amazon and different sacred places where these things are and try to make drugs out of them. But we know that the ancient medicine man used these right from the plants, and he knew which ones they are. I've seen many videos on YouTube about going down to South America and having the guy go through the jungle picking out the plants for different ailments and people coming out weeks later or months later, feeling really good and having cured some of their problems.
Absolutely.
And,
the sum is always greater than the parts.
Yeah.
So when we have the whole plant and when we start messing with Mother Nature's recipe for this combination, and that's really a great question. How did we get here today? Where natural substances are feared and synthetic drugs are revered. Have you ever had anyone say to you, I'm on a prescription drug, I got to check all these herbals. Instead of saying, I'm taking herbal medicine, maybe this drug might mess with things. People get this opposite fear.
Mm-hmm.
And how did we get to the point where we marginalized the most ancient, treasured, revered foods, herbs, and mind-body methods of healing?
And what troubles me, too, is that this type of medicine is not being passed on like the modern medicine is. We do have people that are passionate about it and do pass it on, but as a general knowledge, like there used to be, where the person in the tribe who was a medicine man had several people that he was teaching for one of them or all of them to become medicine man in the future.
We almost have to really take a look at this and see, quite frankly, all the inquisitions. The Celtic women that were quote-unquote witches, they were the healers. They were the herbalists.
Yeah.
They were plant people.
And same with France and all these
exactly, and
the
the American Indians.
Exactly.
They didn't want that continuation of culture and heritage. They stopped it, so it's really great.
Yeah,
So
it's because they believed so much in whatever religion they were. A lot of it was the Christian religion or a Catholic Church doing this, because they had such a deep belief that everything else was wrong. And that's the kind of thing that we are dispelling these days. There is so much out there that we don't know yet, so we can't say this is wrong or right. We have to follow our natural progression of kind of like our mind evolution, where we have our ancient people teaching us, and we stick to those things and we learn more about this instead of trying to cut off part of our society in a sense.
And that's exactly right. And as we just kind of give you a little highlight of what's coming up in the next segment, we're going to give you an idea, because how do we get back to these ancient healing foods and mind-body medicines and whatever they are? You know, we actually get back to it with the science, because the science is proving they were right. And as a perfect example, one of our favorite resources, GreenMedInfo, the world's largest database and repository of natural evidence-based medicine, is a great source, and we're going to give you some examples on a particular healing food or substance. GreenMedInfo has spent years painstakingly sorting through data mining, and indexing thousands and thousands of studies that prove our ancestors and many billions still in the less developed world actually are more likely right and using natural substances.
Yeah, and at GreenMedInfo, they state that nature provides elegant solutions to virtually any problem. The drug-based medical model says only has the right treatment for. It's very easy to go into your medicine cabinet and take one thing and think you're going to solve a problem. All you're doing really is covering up a symptom that may cause other problems down the line.
Well, and I'll tell you why, because see, why we heal is light and sound and frequency. And living things have those frequencies, but synthetic drugs really don't. So that's one of the reasons they become like the Band-Aid and cover things up. So the other thing is there is no lack of evidence. The problem is not a lack of evidence for natural medicine. While clinical trial work is prohibitively expensive, there are still hundreds of thousands of studies that indicate science does in fact support natural healing. And there is so much research that it become increasingly overwhelming. It's good news that we've got that research. But the other thing I want you to realize is you got to follow the money. There's not a lot of funding for natural research. There's not an incentive from a profit standpoint.
Yeah, and there's bits and pieces out there. So when you go into this and start looking at different vitamins, it may get confusing. You need somebody to guide you through that to know what goes with what and why we're suggesting these things. So research is very important.
That's right. And know that that's how Nico and I really focus a lot on this evidence-based research supported by great sites like GreenMedInfo. We got some interesting stuff coming up on the next segment. Stay with us.
We'll be right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to the show. Did you know that there are billions of years of biological information encoded within our cells, and that depending on what you do or do not eat, the information is activated or remains latent?
See, like I said, we are bodies of light, and our DNA and our cellular memory is stimulated by light. Mm-hmm. And very interesting, the Vietnamese monk and peace activists, Thich Nhat Hanh, said, if you look deeply into the palm of your hand, you will see your parents and all generations of your ancestors. All of them are alive in this moment, and each is present in your body. You are the continuation of each of these people.
This is very powerful, because when I think of me living and the rest of my family pretty much gone, my immediate family's gone, and a lot of my aunts and uncles, and
so you're basically the patriarch.
I am the one left, and now I really feel that these people are with me as I'm journeying through the rest of my life. And I want every moment to count. I want to be as healthy as possible. I want to be as functional as possible. I want to be able to thrive even if there's chaos in the world like there is today. So it's very important that these ancestors are with me, because they have a lot of knowledge that I can only get from researching them and feeling them, in a sense.
And I think you and I are on a similar path. As I mentioned to you, I'm doing a great body of work called Recall Healing, based on German New Medicine Hammer's work. And my teacher is amazing, and I'm learning about this transgenerational continuation of how we carry the cellular memory, and maybe some of the unfinished business, some of the great joys, some of the great pains of our ancestors. So we'll talk about that more.
Yeah.
But let's move on here. As we look at this article that actually came out of Green Med Info, and it says, could eating honey be a form of microbial time travel?
So what do they mean by that?
Well, that is like you opened that up and just said that there's actually encoded biological information in your cells.
Yeah.
That many times we know that substances activate certain gene switches. And just to refresh your memory, genes do not cause your destiny. It's more like the genes are the gun. It's what you do, what you eat, see, breathe, ingest, think about, move about. that can activate the trigger. So we'll get more into that, but let's go on from here. In fact, every one of your cells in your body, along with all the cells in all living creatures on the planet today, derived from a last universal common ancestor estimated to have lived some 3.5 to 3.8 billion years ago in the primordial ocean.
Right.
And that was our mitochondrial.
Yeah, and this is kind of the thing that Charles Darwin was acknowledging in his book, Origin of the Species. And it's, we have a lot of debate about whether our history is right. Is it the way of the church? Is it the way that the scientists say? It doesn't really matter, because we are the offsprings of everything that came before us, and not just the human beings, I feel. Everything on Earth is alive, even the rocks.
And kind of what happened here, we all go back to a common ancestor. Really what it was is we had this DNA, this genetic DNA that was then given the breath of life by mitochondrial DNA. And we're going to help you all learn about this, because we're now learning that mitochondrial DNA is really the DNA that we can impact. It's really not ours. It's another species that our cells have taken in, and it's what allows us to generate energy. And so Darwin said, therefore I should infer from analogy that probably all of the organic beings which have ever lived on this earth have descended from some other primordial form, mitochondrial DNA, into which life was first breathed. So the germline within our cells, our sperm and our ovum,
which is the egg sac.
Kind of represent a quasi-immortal and unbroken biological thread, tying us back through an almost infinite number of cell replications to this common ancestor. They call this common ancestor LUCA.
Right.
L-U-C-A.
That's the acronym for the last universal common ancestor.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So these germline cells, our sperm and ova, represent against all odds the resilience of biological systems to persist through incalculable vast stretches of time and innumerable vectors of diversity.
Yeah, they say they are deathless relative to these cells, and the biological information has been passed down from generation to generation for billions of years without interruption. This will continue to be passed forward within the successfully conceived progeny of all species inhabiting this planet today. So what they're saying, everybody is connected. Everything is connected in this world. And that's why we should consider all life, all species, precious. And this is why when I see the ant on the floor, rather than trying to crush it, I scoot it outside a little bit.
I do the same. I get a lot more feeling.
I don't do it all the time, but I mean, sometimes you step on a bug because you just hate the damn thing.
But it's really funny when you get a different perspective like this, you actually take pause. So let's dive in this, the microbial basis for human identity. And before we go into the nutrition as a form of microbial time challenge, as we opened up this discussion, we must first provide context and take a brief look at how our species' self-definition has been completely transformed by the discovery that we are at least as much germs as we are humans. So as I said, we are really a host. We have less human cells in each of our bodies than we do third-party cells. This is very hard for a lot of people to grasp. It's humongous, though. Think about this.
Well, this is relatively a new discovery. I mean, we were talking about the turn of the last century when we discovered there were germs. Before that, we didn't know. And it's still astounding to me that our ancient ancestors, maybe they didn't know they were germs, but they knew how the system worked without knowing that.
Well, they knew that we were part of the microcosm was part of the macrocosm.
Yeah.
They knew we were all part of one. They knew this, and somehow or another we got off of that.
Well, the reason we got off of it, I think, we started digging deep and seeing the germs, and so we kind of separated. Okay, these are the germs. Now we have to conquer these germs.
Well, that's when we had Louis Pasteur attack the germ,
right,
and create the antibiotic movement. And on his deathbed, he said Bouchon was right. The other French, he says, the terrain is everything. So keeping a hospitable environment for both the human and the microbe cell is what we want. So we now know that we are more microbe than human. This is a fact, Jack.
A lot of people on the ride.
That's right. Constituted by at least 10 times more bacteria, viruses, and fungal cells than actual human cells, we are more accurately described, at least in biological terms, as a meta-organism. Meta being above, more than that.
And modern medicine kind of looks like we're sealed off from the environment in this
like
little
here
sealed
you
package.
are, and oh my gosh, we got to kill all those other bugs.
Yeah.
Completely the opposite
Right.
and wrong approach.
Right.
So perhaps even more profound is the fact that the total genetic information in our bodies is about 99% microbial. And that's why I mentioned the mitochondrial DNA. These are the energy producers of our cells, and they really are the ones that allowed the human to become the human.
Yeah.
And so with many of these microbes performing life-sustaining functions, they help us with digestion,
Right.
with immunity, and even helping us think. It's fascinating.
Right. That's really, really mind-blowing there. And even when we explore the only private genetic contributions of cells, we find that the human genome is about 10% viral in origin.
And that's what's cool. Viruses are there to educate us and to help us evolve. Stay tuned. This is interesting stuff.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this short break.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Science.
Nice intro.
Yeah, there you go. Blinded with science, and sometimes we're finding out that the science goes back to ancient times. Nico mentioned before the break that we are more than just ourselves. We are a community of virus, bacteria, and fungi, up to 10% virus, Viruses are there to educate our immune systems. And here's a great point. It says that our mitochondria, as I mentioned when opening this article, are actually alien in origin. And somewhere about 1.5 billion years ago, an ancient bacteria came across our cells and entered into symbiotic relationship with our cells to perform oxygen and detoxification and energy production for us. And they lost their independence to become our mitochondria.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you look. We look at ourselves through this microbial lens. Let's say we have a hard time seeing where the end is and where the
where we end and where the mitochondria begin.
Yeah, and a long time ago, I was thinking, I was in the pest control business many years ago in the 1980s, and one of the horticulturists there, we were talking about ants specifically, and he was saying you have to look at ants kind of like trees. Trees come in bunches, and we look at those trees bunches as one organism, and when we look at ants, we look at the ants as being one organism with just a little separation between all these little things.
That's
but they're
great.
actually,
That's nice
they
to hear
think
you
in
thought
one.
of it that way.
Yeah, and when we think of human beings this way too, it kind of gives me a little bit of a chill that we're all connected too. And that's why it's so troubling in times when things are not going quite the way it is, whether it's a natural phenomenon like these hurricanes coming and the flooding coming and people in Puerto Rico being tested to the max. We have to realize that we are all connected, and we all have to work in this relationship that I call Earth. We have to, have this healthy relationship with the Earth, which means getting rid of the pollution and
means coexisting. The words coexisting and collaboration. These are all terms that come about when we start to become more matriarchal, as we originally were, in terms of patriarchy.
And this is not just a modern thing, because we've been trashing the planet for years. I mean, if you look at Europe in the 1700s and that, during the Dark Ages, the cities were just so dirty and filthy, and that's why people really wanted to leave Europe and come to, when they discovered America, they come to this clean land.
It really goes back, I'm sorry, to the rise of a patriarchal environment of conquer, domination, the imbalance of the male energy, no offense, there's good stuff about the male energy, good. And the suppression of the female energy. Why were they hanging females, burning them at the stake? These patriarchs that were so out of balance and so power hungry, they wanted to suppress that female energy, that female healing, that female gnosis of what was going on. So here we go, guys. This information is beginning to affect the way we look at ourselves as a species in evolutionary terms. This fact, this hologenome, there's more to the whole. This theory of evolution states that we are a holobiont, a host whose fate is always inseparable to the symbiosis of the microbes that are part of it. So,
and we talk about the stomach microbes, but we're really talking about other microbes, all the microbes that are just on your skin. We've got this hand up here on the telestrator, which shows you all these different things that are growing on us.
They're supposed to be there.
They're supposed to be there.
Now, if some of them get out of balance, for example, then the body, we want to encourage the tribe, so to speak, that we all are, to get the imbalance corrected. I like to use the example of yeast. A lot of people talk about, I have a yeast overgrowth or yeast infection, and we've even heard cancer is yeast and so forth. Well, let's talk about it. Yeast is there to eat dead tissue. So when the yeast, it's always there. But when it gets out of balance, what does that tell you?
It tells you there's a lot of dead tissue.
Yeah, and yet yeast is doing something.
Yeah, it's doing its job. It's kind of like cholesterol, or the ambulance being at the scene of the accident.
Right, it's part of the ambulance that's being blamed for the fire. So not to digress, but I just wanted to make that point. So as with classic evolutionary theory on how genes evolve, there have been selective pressures from the environment have shaped the types and numbers of microbes that now form the basis for both our health and our disease susceptibility.
Yeah, Hippocrates said we are what we eat many, many years ago, thousands of
The
years
father
ago.
of medicine, Hippocrates. That's
yeah,
right.
And this was true not only on the molecular terms, but the food we eat produces molecular building blocks from which our bodies are constructed, but also in microbial terms. The microbes we expose ourselves to and cultivate through our nutrition affect and or permanently alters
Our
ourselves.
holy biont selves, which
Which is
means
the
we are a
holistic
holistic
biome.
biome,
Yeah.
right? And this is going to lead us to the topic of honey and microbial time travel. I just literally love this article. So, we start with this. Honey, would you please pass the genome? So as you're passing honey around the table, you're actually exposing yourself to some, ancient microbes that, as we know, we have found honey in the tombs of Egyptian kings, still
very
intact.
revered food, and you can just imagine in ancient times, certain time of the year when the honey is flowing, and you're in the forest hunting. Maybe you're hunting for some meats, or you're gathering some things, and all of a sudden you find the honey. And then all of a sudden you bring your buddies over and you go get it, And our ancient people really knew that the smoke was there to calm the bees. I mean, these are things that I learned when I was in the pest control industry to control bees and things like that. I said, wow, we really figured this stuff out, not knowing that for thousands of years we've been doing this thing.
I mean, I tell you what, this is amazing. So while we often think of our caveman or paleo ancestors being shaped primarily by their meat-based diet and the harnessing of fire for cooking, according to research, acquiring and eating honey may have been an equally crucial dietary determinant in our evolutionary trajectory. And according to one researcher, Alyssa Cridenton, PhD, she says honey helped make us human. How cool is that? Got a quote from her. You want to read a little bit about what she had to say?
It appears that the human sweet tooth has a long history in the human evolution. New research proposes that honey may have been important in the evolution of the humans. Upper Paleolithic rock art from all over the world depicts images of early humans collecting honey. The images range from figures climbing ladders to excess hives, residing high in the trees, to figures smoking out the hives filled with honeycomb. Honey and bee larvae are important foods consumed by many populations of hunter and gatherers worldwide. Foragers in Latin America, Asia, Australia, and Africa include honey and bee larvae as a major components of their diet.
Yeah, the Hadsta hunter and gatherers of Tanzania, they say they list honey as their #1 preferred superfood item. So, we talk a lot about keeping the sweets down, but there's certain foods that are just superfoods. So our ancestors may have consumed honey. What does it have to do with our microbial identity? Well, let's explore this a little more. Honey actually contains a range of beneficial microbes that are contributed by bees and the plants they forage, and this includes lactic acid-producing bacteria or probiotics.
And when that's eaten, may contribute to
raw,
health.
when it's eaten raw, not overnight grocery store cheap honey.
That's right. It's health-promoting strains to the body. A lot of interesting things about honey. We'll continue this conversation. I want to remind people, time to pick up some Primal Edge. Now's the time to do it, folks. We're coming into a new season, and you need everything you can to be healthy.
That's right. Be right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Tom O'Brien has just announced that he'll be coming to Boston September 30th for a free workshop, The Art of Timing the Trade. Join Tom O'Brien Saturday morning, September 30th at the Boston Marriott in Burlington, Massachusetts, as he breaks down his trading methodology and provides you with the tools to become a more successful and profitable trader. Everyone that attends in person will receive a free signed copy of Tom's best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System. Daryl Martin from Apex Investing Institute will also be presenting for 90 minutes at this free event.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Join me in Boston on September 30th as I return to my hometown for a workshop about the art of timing the trade. I look forward to seeing all the tigers and tigresses for this special free event.
All action starts early at 7:30 a.m. with a continental breakfast and wraps up at about 1 p.m. Topics that Tom will be covering during his presentation include quality volume, cause and effect, ABC structures, swing points, and much, much more. For all the information on this free Boston event taking place Saturday, September 30th, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back. So we're doing this research from this article, Honey, Would You Pass the Genome? Cool article. What this tells me is, you know, we talk about diversity in food, and we talk about eating local, and we talk about eating from the land, and eating all natural things. Just think about that honeybee. It's local, it's in its own territory, and it's sampling the best there is around from these wild flowers, wild plants that are really giving the honeybee all these microbes that we're seeking out, and our ancestors looked for this specifically because they wanted diversity. They wanted to eat as many different types of plants as possible. This is one of the purest ways of doing that. The honey has done all the work for you. If you're doing this from local, then it really means that you're much more in touch with the environment around you, which helps you in many ways with disease, with things like viruses, colds, and seasons changing, because the honey changes as the season changes.
Exactly.
So this is the way I'm
There's
looking at
no
it.
doubt that today, in this day and age, where we previously had the timeless and unbroken chain of microbial custody that was delivered by vaginal birth and exclusively by breastfeeding our children in this new fangled world we live in, we find that this balance has been disturbingly disrupted.
Yeah,
and our
sure.
inner microbial terrain has become completely ravaged. So when you add to this daily barrage of food-like but synthetic dietary inputs that we are having shoved down our throats everywhere we turn, you know, along with a battery of antimicrobial toxicants in our chemicals, our food, water, we live in them, plastics everywhere. These are unleashed by the Industrial Revolution, and they fester in this post-industrial chemical soup that we all swim in. This really is a huge threat to keeping this this microbial symbiotic community that we really are. It's become irreparably separated and damaged. So,
Yeah. So
could honey
be the help? Could
this
honey
wounds.
heal all these wounds that we have?
honey heals all wounds?
And I
Could-
think it's part of the story. I think honey and a lot of these pure foods, molasses probably has some in it, the maple syrup that comes from the maple trees. These are all natural sweets that we can use, but do away from these other things that are manufactured.
processed.
The processed ones are no good. Even
Yes.
honey process is not good.
No, exactly. Could eating ancestral foods infused with ancient symbiotic bacteria help us recover and travel back in time to a far more stable state of health. And this is something that I operate my little Whole Foods co-op out of my office, and I get a very exclusive raw honey, non-heated honey, not processed honey that comes from a very pristine environment where the bees are not eating off of GMO plants. And I think it's great to get raw honey in your area, but even a lot of raw honey is heated. They heat it to get it to flow quicker into the bottles. So you have to ask the question, is this unheated? That's the key word.
And
is it raw? Some people say raw, but, well, it was raw, but then they heated it to, you know, they'll play on words, just like so much. Remember how we've talked about...
Well, you have to dig a little bit deeper and find out what's right for you. I certainly do ask the beekeeper, you know, the process that they use, and I think it's important. The thing is that we have to get away from the synthetic and these man-made types of foods. We're always talking about in living a primal lifestyle that we want it as simple as possible. And honey is one of those foods that is very simple. You gather it, you put it in a container, and that's all there is to it. There's no processing involved if you get it that way. And all the food should be that way, whether it's meat or whether it's vegetables or even some fruits occasionally. As long as you get it that it's organic, it's pristine, it's from your area, you're going to be a heck of a lot better off. There's much less chance of you getting disturbed from some kind of microbe that isn't symbiotic with you. The simpler is the better. I feel really good about the way we've been eating this last decade in my household because everything is simple. You can recognize, you can say that's a pork chop, that's a rib, and that's lettuce or whatever it is.
And that's honey.
And that's honey.
Or this is a plant that was grown. So getting back to what we were talking about, Green Med Info being a reliable resource for evidence-based natural medicine, this might be part of the reason as we start to look back. Could these bacteria and their metabolic byproducts provide epigenetic, meaning above the genes, meaningful information that help us to express our best genes? And the research shows there's well over 100, I think you pulled up 197.
114.
114 references at Green Med Info to have, at least for honey, to have these benefits that we...
And these are studies that were on each different benefit, so it's a really good source. And when we put this in the newsletter, that link will be there. It's interesting to note that they discovered species of bees and fauna that suggest that 80 million years ago this began. This symbiotic relationship.
That's a long time, guys, 80 million years ago. This means that honeybees and their honey may contain bacteria that humans may have maintained contact with and ingested throughout the entire course of our evolution as foragers of honey, which would also include our pre-human predecessors. And so within the confines of their bodies, these insects may have provided a time capsule, an environment for these ancient bacteria to survive intact for millions of years, enabling animals like humans to periodically replenish these microbiomes through consuming bee products with honey in them. Dr. Marshall, you know, kind of hit on a few products. He would often make comments, you know, after he created this great line of Premier Research, he would say, geez, I think I'm just going to put myself out of business. He goes, because I figured it out. If you drink a certain tea and you make natural kefir, which is fermented dairy, and add a little honey to it, I think you'll live forever. The longest lived people on the planet drink a certain tea and have fermented kefir with a tad of honey.
Another interesting things there, you're talking about replenishing. So the bees and the honey that is natural and not processed provides us with the additional microbes that we would normally need at certain times of the year. So that's why it's so important to have this honey being local and being raw and being not processed. Talk to the people who are making the honey and find out, because it's really important, because this is going to replenish some of the things that you lose during the year.
That's exactly right, because food is not just fuel or building blocks. I mean, yes, we have some building blocks. We know our aminos are building blocks, but they are informational. They are light. And how does our body get information? Through light, and light is in once living, vibrant foods, and they contain this epigenetic inheritance that our cells can use, so that we have the ideal expression of our DNA, and we can stay our healthiest.
Yeah, and this, of course, is not limited to just honey. Technically, everything we eat, or even that we do not eat, will affect it trajectory of our health, both individually and as a species. And that's really important to realize, that the healthier you are, you help your species along the way. And we're connected like those ants are. We're one being here. So,
I mean, if you take a look at that graph, you've seen that picture of the human evolution. The human's kind of like a monkey, and then he evolves. And then he stands upright, and then all of a sudden he becomes this pot-belly guy, and he turns around and says, hey, hold on.
Stop.
Turn around. We're going the wrong way. We screwed up. Hey, if you want to hear a great discussion, seek out on YouTube Sayer G, J-I, founder of Green Med Info's keynote speech, Food as Medicine Rebooted. Great stuff about food as information.
Yep.
We'll continue this conversation.
We'll be right back, folks.
Be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Up next, 9 before 9 with John Logan on TFNN.
And we've been having a great conversation today about food as medicine, but food as information, and specifically honey as a ancient food that actually communicates stuff that our bodies need to stay healthy. And we're not just talking about honey. We're talking about foods as healing substances. Technically, everything we eat, or even things we don't eat, will affect the trajectory of our health, both individually and as a species. And, today we've got, our agriculture is so damaged by monoculture, synthetic 3-letter fertilizations that are not providing us with the biodiversity that our guts need. And this is why many of these farming processes are taking wild soil and using it to inoculate new farmlands. We've got some people that are trying to restore this health.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we chose, the Primal Edge as a product that delivers nutrition from ancient soil beds is we feel so strongly that we need this information from whence we came. Our ancient ancestors and the environment that we lived in is what brought us to where we are. We've only changed less than 10%. So all of a sudden now, in these last 10,000 or even the last 100 years since the Industrial Revolution, the toxic soup we're living in is nowhere near the environment that allowed us to become the thriving beings that we are.
Yeah.
So I thought this was great. I hope that perhaps you'll add a little bit of raw honey if you need some help sourcing that. Your local farmers markets may find some. I think you found, we mentioned the PhD researcher who had been studying the hot stuff.
Alicia, yeah.
Yeah.
She says here, honey is a highly nutritious and delicious food source composed primarily of fructose and glucose. Combined with larvae, which is high in protein, fat, and B vitamins, honeycomb is nature's energy bar. The ethnographic cross-cultural evidence of honey consumption combined with the depictions of honey hunting portrayed in rock art around the world suggests that honey has been a part of human history. Early humans and their expanding brains would have been greatly benefited from consuming honey and the bee larvae because human brain needs glucose to fuel high metabolic demands of natural development and natural function. The Paleolithic diet, which likely included meat and plant foods, and honeycomb, one of the sweetest secrets to the human evolution.
There you go, folks. So, when we talk about our primal keto diet, it doesn't always have to be devoid of these well-placed superfoods, of which honey is at the top of the list.
Yeah, so not the processed types of honey, not sugar, not sugar cane or sugar beets. Take that out of your life. Don't use artificial sweeteners.
None of these genetically
use
modified
natural honey. Use a little bit of molasses if you like. Use some maple syrup, that type of thing. And my wife, once in a while on Saturdays, usually in the afternoon, she makes a little treat with like blueberries, small little berries, some natural cheeses, and mostly goat cheeses because she's allergic to cow cheese. And also she includes the honey in there. And it's really a nice little treat.
I bet she wouldn't be allergic to cow cheese if she ate raw cheese.
Well, she's tried that.
Raw and
aged. It depends on the cow. Like you often said.
Well, we've got an article we're going to cover next week. I've had it in the queue for some time. Are you drinking the wrong kind of dairy?
Yeah.
This was in Mother Jones. We'll talk about that perhaps.
So it depends on the type of food. It's like we always say, yes, you can. Can you eat?
I adopted that from Sally Fallon.
Okay.
The Yes You Can diet, the Wise Traditions diet, which is the return to real foods.
Or not prepared at all.
How it's prepared and how it's sourced.
That's right.
And we're here to source good information so you can live longer and
that sure is the idea, but
healthier.
not only live longer, but live healthier and live with an attitude of saying, hey, I'm carrying this forward from everybody that came before me. And
that's right. Not just expand our lifespan, but expand our health span so that you live longer, healthier, and more vibrant. So we hope you tune in with us Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, come give us a call if you can get up early and join us live. If not, watch our replays and have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.